Breakdown is an Xbox title released in 2004 by Namco. It's essentially Half-Life but with an emphasis on punching, as envisioned by the developers of Tekken. The game follows the same general journey as Half-Life as well. Trapped in a lab while aliens invade and the military tries to shut down everything, and before long we're taking the fight to the alien forces. Except instead of aliens we have subterranean bulletproof supermen, who do actually sort of look like stripped Overwatch soldiers on steroids. The game begins with our character awakening to a tutorial. Oh, and a woman phasing in and out of existence in our room that only we seem to notice, the usual fare. After being given a pretty standard run-through, you know, climbing ladders, target practice, fucking backflips. I think the scientists were fucking with us at that point, just seeing how much we'd do. And I'm sad to say at no point during this game is a backflip required, or even slightly helpful, but hey, we can backflip. After training, we're sent back to our room for the perfect post-tutorial lunch. Okay, careful, aim, don't want to miss, make sure no one's around, don't want to... Fucking snatch that burger! But despite our character's rather pensive examination of his burger, he fails to notice the tranquilizers in it. You can't turn this burger down either. You're railroaded into eating lunch. Just then, the army capitalizes on mealtime and busts in. The phasing woman from earlier bursts in, saves us, is disappointed that we've no clue who she is.
You really don't know, do you?
Then she deals with a tranquilizer issue and we're set to have a blood-fueled adventure through the labs. So, what will we be experiencing on our little journey? Well, Breakdown is a first-person brawler with shooter and survival horror elements, with some light platforming and puzzling along the way. While overall I did have fun with the title, some elements I found to be at best lacking and at worst quite annoying. This is especially problematic with some of the gripes I have as they come from very deliberate design choices. The early segments of the game have a survival horror vibe. The Talon, or subterranean bulletproof supermen, are completely invulnerable at first, and they present a pretty big threat. The military can't touch them, and in fact anytime you see the military fighting them it's a complete curb stomp. And your punches are completely ineffectual, at first. But our character gains super strength along the way, and they become our main adversaries. The melee combat for the most part is enjoyable. It feels weighty and the first-person perspective does aid in giving the combat a sense of urgency and struggle. I do have some issues with it that will come in a second. You've got a good set of combos to discover and make use of alongside that. Talon do make for formidable opponents, and for the first hour every scrape with them will be an interesting and challenging one. Here are my issues. While there is a move list, it only keeps track of a few abilities that you're introduced to in tutorial segments. Your regular combos and moveset is up to experimentation, and nothing can keep a log of it. While some moves are introduced without your knowledge at certain points as well. My biggest gripe is that while your moveset is perfect for fighting one-on-one, you've got no regular attacks for controlling crowds. And I feel that the FOV is also too low for keeping tabs on multiple enemies, and unfortunately I feel that the first-person viewpoint is actually a weakness in this case. It also doesn't help that most attacks the Talon do stun lock you or can knock you down, and you don't get much mercy invincibility, so the moment they've got you hit, you're in for a whole world of pain. The Talon AI can be pretty decent when in a group. While I am at best ambivalent about the quality of this game's AI, when in a group they will swarm you, flank to blind spots, and they have no sense of chivalry. If you're open to attack, they will attack. If they have friends who have ranged weapons, they even seem to try and remain in their line of sight, so you have to fight on their terms. But by that same token, they're sometimes limited to travelling within a short space of their spawn, so you can simply get them away from comrades because one is allowed to travel slightly further than the other. I'm sad to admit that in quite a few fights with multiple opponents I'd exploit this where possible. The military take up the gunfight portions of this game, and their AI is about on par with the Talon. Both are difficult in unique ways, and while handling groups of soldiers is actually easier than handling groups of Talon, they both have their detriments. Seeing as punching blokes with guns to death is a poor idea, at least before we get the ability to block bullets, we have to go with guns, and I have nothing positive to say about shooting in this game. In place of crosshairs, we've got a lock-on feature. Hit A to toggle opponents with no sorting algorithm for danger. Just hope the game chooses who you want to shoot the most. The auto-aim is awful. This is nearly all the time, and gunfights become less about precision and more about just shooting more. I'd say it's down to luck. Early on in the game I'd grown so tired of auto-aim I just decided to blindly charge the bastard and go mad, and it had about a higher rate of success at least one checkpoint. The only weapon that vaguely works in lock-on is a homing rocket, and I don't think I need to explain why that is. We also late in the game get an anti-Talon laser. Half the time it doesn't even fire, requires a long charge up, and is worth less than just punching them. In Derek's backstory, Derek's our main character by the by, It's revealed he's an ex-soldier. His shooting is probably testament to why they put him in a very dangerous drug trial rather than keep him around. Long story short, your auto aim is only effective at punching distance, and punching distance is where most of the fun is. The game's first-person perspective is an attempt to keep you immersed in the world. It has its ups and downs, of course. Due to jerky camera movement and camera auto-centering, especially when travelling up and down stairs, along with the camera jerking of your character's animations, this is one of the few games that can make me feel motion sick. Not even Mirror's Edge pulled that off. There's also the game having animations for any interaction your character makes, including eating food to recover or when you pick up ammo or plot-related items. He picks the item up, examines, and plays an animation every time. The first time you see it, it can be a little charming, but it wears thin very quickly, and by Ration Bar 200 I just wanted to skip it. And picking up every bit of ammo makes me really appreciate the magnetic feat of other games. I also hate how if you pick up a recovery item and decide not to eat it, your character just chucks it into the derrick zone where no food is heard from again. You can't bring recovery items of any kind with you. You pick up that soft drink, well, you're going to have to commit to your decision, because drinking that shit is now or never. I'd have preferred if one type of recovery item could be stored for use later, because most recovery items are given between fights with just enough there to get you back on your feet. So having some extra wouldn't hurt flow or impact difficulty too greatly. I'm also sad to say that there's no subplot about the military tracking us via quarter-eaten ration bars. The difficulty itself is noteworthy for a couple of reasons. Enemies are hardly forgiving, you can't recover health mid-fight due to the recovery animations, and checkpoints are sparse. You die, be prepared to lose more than 20 minutes of progress at times. The game wants you to do whole segments well, so if you like a challenge, this game definitely provides a decent one. So with that, let's get back to our perspective Derek and his saviour Alex. They make their way through the labs, having the occasional gunfight, hallucination, or helicopter confrontation, along with run-ins with scientists.
I remember an angel on the ceiling.
And again, like Half-Life, seeing said scientists in deadly and wacky situations. Derek comes to learn that his amnesia is born from him being the sole survivor of Project Alpha, where people were injected with creatively named fluid Talangin, which humanity discovered along with this land. Because when you discover an alien plane, the first thing you do with its fluids is jam it into people in hopes of superpowers. In the early hours, we also have a run-in with Solus, the Talan leader, who establishes the fact that he's invincible and then leaves us alive in time-honoured bad guy tradition. I do like his introduction, mind, having a whole sector he's in blown up, barely impeding him.
Did you get him? Blew him to bits, sir. There's not much left here of the floor either. There's no way he survived.
The first port of call is getting Derek to a scientist called Glenn, so that he can shoot us up with more Talangin. Seeing as we've developed super strength and the ability to block bullets with our first dose, I wholeheartedly agree with this idea. So we go to a scientist called Glenn and he shoots us up with more Talangin, giving us a heightened health bar and more energy, just in time for a new ability, shooting energy balls. The move unfortunately is pretty worthless. It does less damage than a good flurry of punches and leaves you stationary and vulnerable while you cast it. Glenn urges us to go to Site Zero and take the fight to the Talan. As we're an agreeable sort and we've got nothing better to do, we head off for Site Zero to take the fight to the Talan. On the way we also get a blast move that's too costly for regular use and too ineffectual for actually dispersing crowds, so all it really does is give the Talan a second or two to surround you in new and unique ways. The journey through the labs takes up about the first half of the game and is well handled, each sector having a distinct yet cohesive design, and new level gimmicks are introduced accordingly, so each area feels fresh, rather than just hoofing it through differently coloured hallways. I feel that once we make it to Site Zero, the level design gets a bit more bland, and with that, we arrive in Site Zero, or to give it a more cheery name, Talanland, and are promptly pointed towards Nexus and lift to Nexus, or everyone just cryptically calls it the elevator. To aid us, we're given a jeep with wheels made of solidified yet melting grease, and we slip and slide our way towards the objective. The game at one point is even cheeky enough to ask us to ramp a broken bridge with this thing. It's awkward and many deaths were had. Luckily this was a rare case where a major annoyance was placed right after a checkpoint, and it's utterly hilarious both when you die and when you live. Yep, that was meant to happen. Well, bye Alex. Just joking. After sending the grease jeep down a pit, it turns out Solus saved yet kidnapped her. So we're left alone to traverse the hardest segment of Talanland, an uphill slog through several waves of soldiers. along with the worst turret segment in video games ever, replete with inverted controls, no vertical control, no ability to see who you're shooting at, and piss-weak damage. It's amazing just how awful you can make a turret when you put your mind to it. After several deaths, I just decided, fuck it, I'll get in a nearby slip jeep and just pelt it towards the checkpoint instead. So we arrive at the elevator just in time to see an earlier established mysterious scientist die because she didn't wish to surrender some data to the military. The elevator out of bounds, we leave and have to take a long way to the Nexus, through a massive underground cavern and the worst platforming segment I've ever played. Your character's jump is either a tiny 2-inch hop or a 6-foot leap, and there's no middle ground. Or mid-air control for that matter. Or controllability in general. Us having to take a long way is costly. The military can't hold back the Talon, who proceed to launch rockets full of themselves all over the Earth. The whole traversal through Talon Land is a series of setbacks and failures start to finish, and to the game's credit, it does inspire a good feeling of dread. In the end, we make it to Nexus, find Alex, and challenge Solus to a showdown. We're utterly thrashed. Alex dies, and something completely hilarious happens. Oh yeah, they've been setting up that the failsafe in case Talon Land was uncontrollable is actually a nuke. I probably should have mentioned that. Also, that isn't actually the ending. We survive the nuke and find out that everything we've seen so far has been due to our character being in some sort of memory tube, which we've been in for a long time, which also was the cause of our HUD and hallucinations, as it was all just memories bleeding together in the tube. So both elements are gone for the rest of the game. Oh yeah, and Alex is here as well. She doesn't remember us because of reasons explained later.
Who the hell are you?
We get to see how Earth has been affected by the Talon, a wasteland devoid of life. And by making our way once again to Glenn, we come to learn that our character is suffering from the pendulum effect, which will send him back in time. Glenn tries to give us another dose of Talangen, but Talan storm the lab. Ignoring them, we go and shoot up, gaining super jumps and slow motion. Slow-mo probably being the most enjoyable ability in the game, but the slow-mo is once again only useful on single opponents, being too costly and short-lived to aid us with multiple enemies. So, with the enemies in the room defeated, the pendulum effect kicks in. Alex, being instrumental in Derek's journey, elects to go back with him, knowing how things will play out and knowing the layout of the lab, since she was raised there as part of the Beta Project, another attempt at creating superhumans. So, our past was Alex's future. Wait, if we were put in that time machine to relive our memories and we were knocked out just before the nuke, doesn't that mean Derek experienced the same shit twice in a row with no pauses from his perspective? Oh well, no sense dwelling on that hellish idea. We're sent back to when Alex is kidnapped and have to replay a large segment of the game. The one with the uphill slog and the platforming segment. It's at this point that something utterly bizarre happened. As my Xbox tray opened up, the game got in its own case and it threw itself out the back door. But I recovered it and resumed. This time, thanks to our super jump, we can access the lift and save the scientist. The lift lets us skip about an hour of traversing the caverns, but we still have to do part of the terrible platforming segment. And Derek's new jump actually makes it harder, as you can tap the button for a 2-inch hop, or hold it even a split second longer for a ceiling-smashing leap. And both are completely uncontrollable, and this segment nearly drove me to tears for its horrid control. But through perseverance and copious amounts of swearing, I climbed up. In this reality, we make it in time to save friendly military bloke, cancel the Talon Land rocket launches, and now we're strong enough to actually fight Solus. So we go and fight Solus. What ensues is a 20-minute slugfest against a boss with far too much health. And if you die, it's back to the beginning of those 20 minutes. Despite that, I found this to be the best part of the game. He's a fun boss with a varied and predictable moveset and no pattern. I really wish the game had focused more on one-on-one fights with powerful enemies, rather than upping the challenge through crowds. as it is still challenging, but it ultimately fits the gameplay far better. So after being punched enough times to kill maybe 1,000 men, he finally evaporates, and Alex lives this time. We head into the heart of Nexus. After a light platforming segment, we come to a room where we have to fight 5 waves of tough enemies in large groups. It's at this point that something utterly bizarre happened. As my Xbox tray opened up, the game got in its case and threw itself out the window. Overall, I'd recommend Breakdown. Its first-person brawling shows some age, but it's still pretty original, and handles fun enough for the most part. The story's pretty unique, and the somewhat cheesy acting and exaggerated animations do make for a few unintentional laughs. The attempts at immersion make for an interesting if flawed showcase. For a similar game, at least in gameplay conventions if not tone, I'd recommend Xenoclash on the PC, or play Mount Blade in first-person mode. Seriously, it's really damn good. This game also features the worst helicopter boss fight I've ever fought. You see, your missiles despawn before they actually hit the fucking thing most of the time, and his auto-aim is significantly better than